Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Northcrest Foodies. I'm your favorite moderator of the page, Adam Sellers. I am here to bring something a little fun for the week. We're going to introduce a kind of Chef of the Month type deal. We're going to do our own version of Hot Ones. A little show on YouTube that's made it on TV where we eat some hot wings, talk to somebody. Person I want to introduce first probably doesn't need too much of an introduction, but I want to introduce him anyways, man. He is doing some great stuff, lives over in the Foxford Woods, from a town in Maine we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. Needs no other introduction. Come on in, Mr. Chris Campbell.
Hello.
So, Chris, one of the biggest reasons, man, I want to bring you out today, man, is you do some great job on plating. If you guys have ever heard me talk about food, one of the biggest things I always like to talk about is eating with your eyes. You do a great job on plating, man. So as we get started in some hot wings today, the first thing I want to get you to do is just tell us the name of that town that you're from up in Maine, man. I can't pronounce that thing. I've seen my life.
Presque Isle. It means almost an island. It's an Indian name.
There we go. So you guys heard it here first. How to pronounce that town in Maine where he's from when you look at his Facebook blog.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with a wing, man. We're going to start with the mild one on the end, but I first got to give a shout out to Mr. Stephen Tomlinson for letting us borrow his hot sauce. He made it over to the neighborhood. You guys give a big shout when you see him. Tell him thanks for letting us use it tonight. So Chris, please do the honors. Grab yourself a wing, man. We're going to talk a little bit about plating, where your influences are, what you think about it. Get your wing, man. Get your little hot sauce going here.
Kind of hard to plate with just a wing.
No, we're not plating that one now.
Oh, okay.
We're just eating a wing, man. I'm going to grab a wing here, too. You're going to dig in after you, man. Do the honors.
Well, I don't know anything about the hot sauce, so
So, Steve's hot sauce, man, we're starting with one of the mildest ones, man. Before we get going, I got to ask, too. How do you feel about hot stuff, man? You like hot food?
I do not. So I think it's going to be even better, interesting. I typically go with the mild, but I can eat hot stuff. It just, different shades of color that come across your face and meat sweats.
So I think this one's kind of mild, man. We're going to start with this one, but in case you need it, man, we got a little milk, a little water, a little cucumber over there for you to help cool the mouth. Feel free to dig in. Let's go.
It's not one of those little droppers, so it looks like you're going to get too much right to start with.
Easy.
Put it on the wing?
Yeah, on the wing, man. We're going to take a big bite of it, man. We're going to do it together.
Maybe I should have watched you first to see how much you're putting on there.
Mm-hmm. We'll learn. We'll learn. Don't tell everybody the secrets of this game, man. All right. Well, Chris, let's get that bite going. Let's talk about plating. What goes through your mind, man? Who's your influences? And
shouldn't we have gotten all the talking out of the way prior to eating the hot wings?
Nah, man, we're doing it first. The stage is yours. Tell us about your plating, man. What you think about it, who influences you, and what you like about it.
Well, plating has always been something that I've had trouble with. I'm not an artist. That would be my husband, Sean. But I look at a picture and I try to match my plating from the picture. Or I did have the opportunity to spend a couple of years going to nice restaurants for lunch. I had a client that really wanted to go to nice places, and we did that every day for a couple of years, and got a chance to sit at the bar and learn from some of the chefs and whatnot, and see some of the ways that they would do plating and ask a lot of questions. So that's sort of where I got some of my influences and understanding from it, but mostly it's from, I try to reverse engineer things from looking at a picture to, usually they can show you how to do it, so that's sort of the way I get my influences.
Wing 2, Chris.
Wing 2.
So dig in, grab you one real quick, man. Grab one here, and let's try sauce number 2. Sauce number 2, we're going to come at you from Ultra Rio Scotch Bonnets.
And where does it hail from? Tell me the story about the
It hails from me looking for hot sauces quickly in the Buford Highway Farmers Market on the Caribbean Isle. I saw Scotch Bonnets and I was like, hey,
sounds good.
Let's give it a go.
Perfect.
So we're going to dab it up here real quick.
Huh. It's a heavy portion.
Mm-hmm. It takes guts to get in the hot seat, man.
Doesn't smell very hot.
We'll see what it does.
See, this has got the perfect way to pour it out, as opposed to Steve's sauce. Didn't have one of those little fancy things on there.
Okay, so going back to that almost an island name in Maine that nobody else can pronounce in the room except you. So if you can't help me out one time.
Presque Isle.
Presque Isle. So I was doing a little research up on Presque Isle, man, and I found across this one particular menu. I want to ask you to see if you can kind of translate a couple things off the menu for me that I, being a Southerner and not having that kind of growing up, man, I didn't really understand too much. And you might recognize a little bit of these menu items from where I found this menu. So
Okay.
let's start with the first one. Meatloaf, fiddleheads, green beans, new potatoes.
So the whole thing?
Do those go together? Tell us a little bit about it
They
there.
do. So we got meatloaf, fiddleheads, new potatoes, and green beans,
Yeah.
you said? So, well, the meatloaf you can get anywhere, obviously, in the country. But what they, Maine is known, it used to be the #1 potato producing state in the country. And then Idaho took over in the early 80s or something. As
I do love the Idaho potatoes.
Yeah. So my sister's husband is actually a potato farmer. And he is one of the largest potato farmers in the state. So a lot of your French fries and everything that you eat at Arby's down here come from his farm. They're homogenized together. McCain's buys them from various farmers and then homogenizes them and sends them out to Arby's and a few of the other restaurants. So anyway, back to that, the new potatoes is a big thing up there because it's when they're coveted when you get them on the side of the road. Get the new potatoes to have with your meal. You usually can get them in a farm stand on the side of the road for like $5 or whatever, or $10 a bag, or a little 3-pound bag. And then fiddlehead season is right now. The fiddlehead is, it's not the fiddlehead fern, I forget which fern it is, but there's a fern that grows mostly in New England. I think that you can find it in other parts of the country, but it's a New England thing. And before it turns into the fern, the fiddlehead is the round part before it grows into the fern, and you get them in the bogs next to a riverbank usually. And we would always go fiddleheading. And you would pick the fiddlehead, you just snap them and put them in a little bag, and then you bring them home and you clean them and blanch them, and then you freeze them so you can have them throughout the year. Or you can buy fresh fiddleheads right alongside the new potatoes. And you take the fiddleheads and the new potatoes and the green beans, and usually when you cook a fiddlehead, you can boil it in water or you can steam it. You cook it similar to green beans. And it's really good meal to put all three of those together if you wanted to mix them together, because that could possibly be what was on the menu if they were mixed together. So you put some, after you cook the potatoes, you pour some cream and a lot of butter in there. Then you throw the fiddleheads and the green beans, and you give that a good stir, then that's what you serve on the plate with the meatloaf.
Very nice. Let's cheers to that one.
Sorry that was a long answer.
It's Maine cuisine for you. So another couple items, man, I'm going to get you addressed, man, so you got a little heat in your mouth now. Baked bread, baked beans, ham, or red hot dogs, man. What are those red hot dogs, man? And then I saw there's a little potato salad, egg salad / gingerbread, man. Do you guys put gingerbread in your potato and egg salad? And the last one that really caught my attention, man, was sharing a box of Kleenex with Ma's dumplings at the airport, man.
I don't know what that's all about.
It was a list your mom had on your Facebook page of a menu for a week.
Oh, my mother's page. That's a whole other conversation. Ma's dumplings. Yeah, we could talk about Ma's dumplings if you want, but you had a lot of information in that question you just asked.
Yeah, so tell us about those red hots, man.
So we'll go into the red hots, and they're not hot at all. If you look at a picture for Maine lobster usually, or a Maine picnic, a summertime picnic, you're always going to see red hot dogs in the picture. And it's, once again, a Maine or Canada thing. And you can still order, if anyone wanting to order red hot dogs from Maine, you can go online and they'll send them throughout the country. It's a skin that they put on the outside of the hot dog that makes it snap when you break it in half. And when you cook them on the grill, that snap of the skin is kind of yummy. It's an interesting bite in the hot dog, and that's the only kind of hot dog I knew growing up. My aunt moved. As we're from close to the Canadian border, my aunt moved to Michigan, and when she got married, and she always would have us bring her some or mail her some of the red hot dogs.
Those similar to the New York red hots and white hots?
Not at all. Nothing like them. Mm-mm. Nope, it's just a regular hot dog with a skin that's been dyed pink on the outside of it that makes it snap.
There you have it. Maine cuisine from the man himself.
Yep.
So let's shift over to Atlanta dining, Chris. Noticed you like get out around the town, man. So I'm gonna kind of hit you with a couple restaurants real quick. Mm-hmm. You got to pick one. You got to tell me the best one to go to, the best plate to get, and you can only pick Let's grab a wing and we'll talk about it. And so this wing is going to be brought to you in part by another Ocho Rios hot sauce. This time it's going to be super hot pepper sauce. Serving suggestion is something on there, but it's hot. So let's go.
Once again, it doesn't have the small pour thing that you're supposed to see, like the Tabasco sauce.
You know, but Steve's sauce, man, is similar, man. You know, I don't know which one's right, man. That one's just,
See, I'm doing about half of what you do. I'm still burning from the other one. It wasn't bad, but just the afterburn.
Okay. So let's think, I guess, maybe West Midtown. I'm going to pick a few restaurants over there. Let's do the Public School 404, Miller Union, The Optimist, and JCT Kitchen.
I can only pick one?
Yeah, bite up.
It's a bit fruity. Well, I guess if I only could pick one, because you want me to describe a plate or a dish that I like there
The best
too?
one, if I'm going to go eat down, man, I got one meal left in my life, man. COVID's going to about to take me out, man. I'm going to go hit one, since can't let us open.
Well, if you're only going to hit one, I guess my favorite would be Miller Union. And the reason for that is their menu does change frequently. The thought and attention to detail that goes into every single dish that's there is amazing. Ford Fries restaurants, JCT and Optimus and the others are good, but they've become a bit commercialized. So sure, they have their own thing at each spot, but they're not going to have that one guy that's really trying to impress the world. And that's Steven Soderfield with Miller Union and his business partner Neil. I think that have some of the best food in Atlanta.
All right, so wing number 4 is going to be brought to you by Little Anita. Extra hot grilled pepper sauce.
It's a small bottle.
Extra hot.
Where'd that one come from?
Yeah,
Buford Highway again?
Mexico? We got that one overseas somewhere.
We went to
Jamaica.
I think it was Jamaica. We got like 7 little tiny bottles of hot sauce, and that one is good.
This one's small but mighty, man.
Yeah.
Douse this one up a little bit, man, and see what we're going to do. Once again, it's a Steve Tomlinson style bottle, so we've got to be careful with this one.
You're hiding the amount that you're putting on there with your hands in the way. Still generous portions.
Don't do that much.
No, I won't. Thank you.
Adam's gonna wish real soon he hadn't done that much.
It's all for fun.
Perfect.
So I heard you mention a couple of local Atlanta chefs, Ford Fry, Steven Soderfield. Celebrity chefs are always a big influence on people, man. Who's your biggest celebrity chef influences, man? Who influenced your cooking, your taste palette, and what kind of celebrity get to you? Eat up before you answer. There's your reaction we're looking for. Welcome to the hot seat, Chris.
May take a minute to answer this one.
Come on, get it out as quick as you can. Of course, man, that's a funny answer with a mouthful of heat, man.
I would say, it's gonna be hard. My mouth is on fire. I'm not looking forward to the next one.
Don't.
It's chicken flavored, though, I'll tell you that.
I have a little more milk. I wouldn't say that a real celebrity chef has ever really influenced me. Mine's sort of been started with my grandmother watching her cook, although my dad did a lot of the cooking growing up. So just I'm an observer of everything. And so when I'm out and about and I see a chef, I'm going to ask them questions, how they did this, that, and the other thing. But in the Atlanta market, as far as I guess it was, I started going to eat at one of Ford Fry's restaurants, which ended up being one of my favorites until the chef left, was 246 in Decatur, and Drew, I don't remember Drew's last name. He's one of their executive chefs now that's moved past there, but we would rent the chef's table often, which was a little sidebar at 246, and the chef would explain what they're cooking and go into detail, and that used to be my birthday spot, and we did that every year. And sometimes we'd go there 2 or 3 times a year. So Drew at 246 was somebody that was really influenced me a lot on, for me to start the journey, to start to cook things on my own. I cooked a little bit before, but I really didn't start until that experience at 246.
Well, before we move on from celebrity chefs, man, I heard there's a Justin Wilson impersonation, man, that I have to hear, man.
A what?
Justin Wilson, celebrity chef. Kind of sounded a little like Julia Child, man. I was going to see if you'd recreate that one for us one time. About mixing the cakes.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Someone will have to really troll through my Facebook page to find that one. That's the one. Was that the one with the bleach and stuff? I was putting in
mixing the cake, and
right.
Some people got it confused for Julia Child.
Yeah.
I was hoping I could get it one time.
So when I cook, our kitchen is set up that Sean can move his office upstairs so he can see from the other side, and I was just mixing some batter and whatnot. I went, "Oh, you're gonna love what I put in here." And I had some cleaning supplies on the counter too, and I'm like, "A little bit of each, okay, girl." So that's what you're probably talking about, the video that Sean films me a lot, no matter what I'm doing, and I don't realize he's doing it until it's on the internet. So then I have to ham it up sometimes.
It's question 5, man. It's going to be the last one today, man. It's going to be the hottest one we're going to go with. But before we get started, man, I want to ask one quick cooking story, man. See if you can kind of give some people some tips, man, on a quick dish, man, I know you're pretty familiar with. Flan.
Flan.
Talk a little bit about making flan, man, a little spun sugar in between there for us, man.
Right.
Tell us about that.
About making the flan. Well, I made flan because of the Northcrest dinner thingy that we did. So it's always a challenge. This is the first time I ever made flan. What I've learned about making flan is getting the sugar to melt is the hardest challenge. So the tips with making the flan and getting the sugar to melt is the super hot pot. One would think that you don't want to get it too hot because it might recrystallize the sugar. So I think I went through 1.5 pounds of sugar this last go around, try to figure it out because my pot wasn't hot enough. But so you crank the heat up on the pot, the sugar, it'll melt just fine. So you have to pour that into the little flan dishes, and then the rest of the flan's pretty simple. But the leche, I may be pronouncing it wrong, the leche flan that I made last time is a steamed flan, so you don't cook that in the oven.
Gotcha.
And then the other typical flan is cooked in the oven. So one's a Spanish flan and one's a
Filipino.
Filipino flan.
Filipino flan.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, let's grab that last one, man. Let's get on this last question real quick. I think I'm get off the leg here. And we're gonna introduce this last hot sauce real quick. Found it over at the Korean Island Buford Highway Farmers Market. See if we can get close up there and show that flaming Pikachu on the side of it and how it's rated extremely hot. So I'll let you take a look at that one, man. It's got a little flaming Pikachu, man, where it's spitting flames out of its mouth.
Yeah.
And, what's that rated?
What does it read?
What is it
That's
rated right
Japanese.
there? Right there. What's that?
Extremely spicy.
Let's go for it.
Is that what brought your attention to purchasing it?
Yeah, it smells like ramen too, man. I was on the Korean island. I was like, why not? Give a little whiff of that now. Let me know what you think there.
It does. It smells, yeah, it smells nice.
I'm not gonna regret that one.
Let's see you eat that one.
Hey, we're doing it together, man. So,
Thank you.
no guts, no glory. Go big for the last one, man.
Really?
Oh, why not, man? Only burn for a little while.
How long?
15 minutes.
Because I got to go grocery shopping after this, you know. I'm not going to be stuck in the bed the rest of the day, am I?
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Perfect. Go wrong with a cute little Pikachu on the side. Or whatever it is, penguin.
So, as we go to bite this, man, I'm going to ask you kind of a two-parter here. You've been in the Foxford Woods for how long now?
I think since 2007.
For those of us who are struggling with math, I think it's 12 years, almost 13 years.
13 years, yeah.
Pushing on. So, over the time, you've got some good stories, man, that you've seen this neighborhood change and had some fun over the neighborhood. Tell us an old story, man, from the neighborhood that some of us newer residents might not really know or remember. Something, give us a good little giggle, man. And then I'm going to finish it off with one last question when you finish that out once your mouth's a little hot.
You know, so Sean and I were pretty much recluse, so we didn't get a lot of stories from the neighborhood, and there really wasn't an active Facebook page until maybe the last 5 years, where things were real active on there. So as far as old stories from the neighborhood, I can't really come up with any other than the newer ones that everybody's quite familiar with. However, I do have one story that was, I put a post out there recently for looking for some piece of underlayment, and a neighbor was nice enough to come by and drop a piece of underlayment off for me. And he has been here for quite a while, but his neighbor was one of the original people. And his neighbor left him a map of all the original swinger houses. And so he has a map plotted with all the houses that were swinger houses. And I thought that was an interesting tidbit about Northcrest, because obviously the time that Northcrest was made was the swinger period of time. So it's interesting that he has this map. So I was gonna think about, you know, maybe posting something about that later or whatnot. Sean's looking into doing a little book with pictures, and maybe we're gonna add that as an after effect if he'll let me borrow it. But so it was just an interesting thing that, you know, our neighborhood was just as crazy back then when it was first formed as it is today. So.
Absolutely. Well, let's bite up this last one, then, and we'll finish off.
Am I going to be able to answer the next question?
Nah, I hope so.
I'm shaking some of the sauce off.
Ah, come on now.
I haven't even put it in my mouth yet, and my finger just caught on fire. It melted half of my thumb.
Ready, set, cheers, brother.
Cheers. I'm just going to eat this fast. Is this a time delay?
Dip in there, man. I'm breathing some heat. Look at that, folks.
There is a time delay on it. Not as bad as the first one before this. Maybe I need... My tongue's still on fire, but still.
Yeah, rub it in there, man. You good?
I'm good.
And he survived, folks. Chris, close it out, man. The heat's starting to catch up, man. Let's ask you this, man. If you were going to recommend anybody else come sit across this table from you, man, that's posting over the Northcrest Foodies department, man, who you want to see come up next? Not guaranteeing I'm going to pick them, but I want to hear who you think should be sitting here next with me.
That's hot.
There you go, folks.
You know, somebody that's been proud of their stuff lately that I've been watching. You know, obviously, Randy always comes to mind, but Randy's involved in all the cooking, so I would pick two. Randy, because Randy just loves all this stuff. And you could go much harder than that for Randy, probably, but that one's pretty bad because I'm still crying.
Watch your eyes.
Mark would be the next one. Oh yeah, watch it, don't.
Yeah, watch your eyes. With the napkin.
Well, there you heard it, folks.
Mark Shipley would be my other
Randy
one.
French, Mark Shipley, maybe. We'll find out who's next. But you guys appreciate Chris this month. Watch his post, watch his food. He's doing great stuff. Reach out. He'll be more than happy to help if you got any questions. Thanks for tuning in.